What's going on, guys? So, last week I said I wanted to start working on the bow skills to allow the player to equip a bow and shoot a bow. Um, Now, to start, I went into Blender and I made these little targets here. Actually, one target, and I just duplicated it 3 times. Um, and then I thought about how this whole thing is going to work, and I think it's important to spend a whole week just planning how the system is going to work together before starting to code. So what I did was add it to my workflow document over here, or game design document, as some say. So I have about 30 or so pages on this whole thing right now. But more specifically, I started working on the ranged compensation system and organizing how it should be. So to start, I just listed about 6 different categories, and I'm sure some others might come up as I continue to think about it. But I watched some videos on like Breath of the Dying. It's not Breath of the Dying. Um, Breath of the Wild, Zelda, the bow combat, as well as Horizon Zero Dawn, because those are some of the two top commented games that people love the bow combat on. And I try to see the best aspects of it and try to incorporate that into what I'm doing in this game, as long as it coincides with the systems. So, first off, bows are all two-handed weapons. So when I make the scriptable object of a bow, it will be equipped as a two-hander in the action slots, and it'll deactivate the other slot, so you can't really dual wield two bows. Um, One of the things I noticed in games, especially Skyrim, and when a bow's equipped, the camera zooms in a little bit, and when the actual bow is equipped and you start, you click the button, the character loads the arrow, and then when it holds down, you start to draw the bow back with the arrow. So at the start of the bow shoot animation plays, and in my game, it's going to be the faster you could shoot is based on the character speed, which is tied to the agility stat. The bow crosshair UI. So some games like Horizon Zero Dawn or Skyrim, they always have that crosshair, but I don't want that unless you have like a specific item that you're gonna need the crosshair for. Like if you're just walking around, I don't think you need that in the middle of the screen. But I do want the crosshair to show when the player actually equips the bow and starts. I don't know if I want to do it as soon as he equips it or just when he draws it back. So that's what I have here. The camera should zoom in more as the player holds back. So as the player draws the bow, it should zoom in more closer to the target of where the crosshair is. When the left or right click is released, and this could be any button depending on whatever system I eventually release it on. I'm going to start with PC and then see how I can alter the controls. But whatever button is used to shoot it, when you release it, the arrow is going to shoot in the direction of wherever your mouse is pointing, wherever the crosshair is. And one of the cool things I saw in Horizon Zero Dawn, it shows like an airstream effect, so you know like the line that the arrow actually takes. So they actually have particle trail effects in Unity. So I'm going to look to. I only did it once with the sword, but it should be a really cool feature for the bow. And again, this is not all going to be a 1 week thing. This is a lot of different things. And if I was just going to go and start coding, I would just start doing it, and then I would think about all these other things that I should have kind of thought about before. For example, where I was just going to do arrow collision as a script, but realistically, it's a projectile like the other skills are, like fireballs and things like that. So each of the collisions has a sound effect that'll have a different damage effect, particle effect. So a lot of these things can be organized into one script and then just determined by the actual object that is being shot and that it hits. It will create a different kind of sound or effect or end effect, and whether it does damage or not to the target. So here we have sound played based on the arrow, the object the arrow or projectile collides with. So if it hits a target that does damage, it's going to make a certain sound. If it bounces off something, it's going to make like a sound so the player knows, that there's no effect on that. if it actually sticks to a certain surface, if it goes through wood, or if it sticks in one of the enemies, or if it bounces off like a wall, a stone wall, if it's not gonna stick to that. If the arrow collides with a destructible or NPC, it will deal damage. Otherwise, it just won't. And then again, this is one of the cool things. If it's a headshot, it should be 100% critical chance. Now the physical damage is based on the player's physical damage, which ties into the strength, which increases physical damage. Critical strike chance is based on the luck attribute, and then critical strike damage is based on the agility attribute. So I won't go into too much detail, but I got to make sure that all of these things factor in when the player is using a bow. In the kind of probably annual bow festival or archery festival, I don't think damage might be needed. It might be just the speed at which you could shoot the bow and your accuracy. Obviously, smaller targets will grant more points, and I'm not going to put that in here. This should be more in the. Do I even have a place for festivals here? Story, world structure, events, probably events. I didn't even put this in. Archery tournament. Or festival, I don't know. And we'll put tournament. So also I'm going to have fishing, racing, Harvest Festival, Animal Festival. Similar to a lot of these games, like Harvest Moon, Story of Seasons. But I don't think, and Fable actually has these kind of tournaments of like where battling happens. So I wanted to combine those as well into this one game. Yeah, so just a lot of different things to do, but I wanted to spend this week just organizing what's going to be the plan. So next week I'll probably focus on being able to instantiate the bow at the player's hand, and then maybe make a bow combat script. We'll see how it goes, but we're going to start off with 1 and go through 1 through 6 and see how long each of the things takes me. I'm not going to rush through any. I just want to make sure it's planned out and it actually I'm not duplicating any code when I'm trying to add other kind of collisions. So like maybe crossbow, or again spells, or any other kind of ranged type combat. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and yeah, that's it. Oh, and these textures are, I added like a white texture to this horse. Just fooling around with textures and just trial and error. So this is definitely fun. I can't believe actually how much I've accomplished, and it's almost gonna be 3 years since I started learning programming, and about 2.5 years since I started making this game. So thanks for watching, and let me know if you have any questions or comments. Be that